Hi guys, welcome to book club number 18. I think it's 18, let me check. Come on in, tell me where you're signing from. Yes, it is 18. We're talking about my book, A Radical Awakening. So I'm going to share a couple more themes from the book. Hope you're reading it, hope you're sharing it, and leave your reviews if you've read it and you're inspired to. Book club number 18 for Radical Awakening. Hi guys. So the most integral part of our radical awakening is a microscopic and brutal, naked, honest self-accountability. So the most integral part of our radical awakening is a brutal, naked, honest, transparent self-accountability. Now, many people want to take accountability, but what they end up doing is that they end up blaming themselves. That's not accountability. Or they end up feeling guilty about themselves. That's not accountability. So what is accountability? Accountability really, when you break it down, is deep, reverential acceptance. No resistance. Let me explain. What does deep reverential acceptance mean? It means that you accept that you did not have the consciousness that you have now back then. You accept it with a brutal surrender. You don't say that you were not conscious back then, but you wish you were. Or why wasn't I better? Or I should have known better. I could have done better. If that was different, I would have been different. All that is drama, is dramatic resistance in the disguise of growth. It sounds like it's learning, but it's not. So there is a big difference between taking accountability and blaming yourself and guilting yourself and shaming yourself and getting depressed about things that you did not do well in your past. So again, if you are true growth seekers and truly on the trailblazing path to evolving, part of that path to evolving is understanding that there were millions of steps before this point where you were very unevolved. You beat your kids maybe, you took alcohol a lot, you drugged yourself out with food or opiates, you were abusive, you were narcissistic, you were a jerk, you were an asshole, you were a moron, you were a whatever. Whatever word you're using to describe yourself, yes, you were. But you accept it not through judgment and guilt and, oh my God, how could I be so bad? You accept it because you understand that at that time, you were not yet conscious. At that time, you were just not evolved. At that time, you were just not where you are now. So a brutal and honest self-accountability involves making radical peace with who you were. Making radical peace with who the other people were in your life. So there's no self-blame, there's no other blame. It is a radical acceptance that the other was where they were and you were where you were. Finish. It's a brutal acceptance. Part of our evolution means to understand that there were millions of moments of unevolution till we got to this point, and there will be millions of more unevolved moments before the next radical awakening. I was on an interview with Lewis Howes, and he was like, I thought you were already radically awakened. How many more radical awakenings will you be having? And I was like, thank you. That's like making me feel bad. But he wasn't trying to make me feel bad. He was just like, wow, how many times do we go through these radical awakenings? We go through it as many times as we need to go through it. How lucky and privileged we are to go through a radical awakening. But So if I went through a radical awakening now, I can't look back and go, but I thought I already radically awakened at 21. What the hell was I doing? No, we woke up to this level, but we have still this to go. And then you wake up to this, and then you still have this to go. So part of the radical awakening is this brutal accountability that can only come about when you understand what is evolution. Evolution is bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. So looking back and going, why wasn't I? Why wasn't he? How could I? How should I? Why didn't I? Is complete resistance. Is your ego messing with you? Your ego creating anger towards yourself or towards the other. When you are in self-blame or other blame, you are not in radical awakening states. You are in deep resistance to the process of evolution. The process of evolution by nature involves many million moments of unevolution. You cannot get here. Why would you be here if you were already here? The fact that you're getting here means you have to go through the fire pit of many hot coals of unconsciousness to get here. So, blaming yourself sounds like you're taking accountability, but you're not if you're judging yourself and blaming yourself. So blaming yourself goes, why the hell did I hit my kid? How could I have hit my kid? Oh my God, I'm so terrible. I'm such a terrible person. How could I? I'm so guilty. I'm so sorry I hit my kid. That sounds like you're taking accountability. No, you're just wallowing in guilt. You're just wallowing in pain. You're just wallowing in the disbelief that you were not who you thought you were. You're just in resistance to your actual state of evolution. You thought you were better than what you were. So you're in deep pain because you're seeing that you're not as amazing as you thought you were. You were in a deluded state of narcissistic arrogance that makes you think you were that, but you were not that. So now you're in pain. You're like, oh my goodness. So you know how like many people say that, no, you're just sorry because you got caught. You're just sorry because you got found out. It's like that kind of guilt. Oh, it's just because I realized I wasn't so amazing. But that's not self-accountability. That's just a resistance to accepting who you were. So are you saying you should hit your kids? No, this is how you handle it, Mr. or Mrs. whatever. Your name is Dave, so Dave Muscle, so must be a guy. This is how you handle it. You handle it by going, okay, I have to brutally take accountability for who I was. Who I was an unawakened person who was living in a state of emptiness and unhealed wounds. What were my wounds? My wounds were that I needed I needed control because I was a really anxious person. Wow, I didn't even realize I was so damn anxious. Where was I living? Right? Maximum you can say that. But then you begin to go back and you say, wow, I'm a really freaking anxious person. I had no idea. Time to get to work. Time to heal myself. Right? Or Amardeep says, when I see my husband unhappy and stressed, I end up feeling bad. Right? What are you feeling bad for? Right? His feelings are his feelings, but because you're not in your lane, because you're probably enmeshed and codependent and a people pleaser, you're crossing your lane to his lane. Right? And now you're feeling what he's feeling because you feel so bad about feeling bad. He's feeling bad, so you're feeling bad that he's feeling bad. Ay, 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 ay. All of this is a big mess, okay? So accountability is to understand truly deeply the process of evolution. The process of evolution involves many moments of unevolved unconsciousness. So to take accountability means to truly see that we were unconscious. Not to go, no, I meant that I was not that, and I meant I wasn't that, and I really thought that, but this happened. No excuse. We don't need to hear the excuse. We just need to hear the acceptance. I was unconscious. He was unconscious. She was unconscious. We were unconscious. And we're now shifting. There is no blame. Blame toward the other is a mild aphrodisiac that makes you feel so powerful in your moments of helplessness. I hate him. I'm going to lose weight and show him. I'm going to find another lover before he knows. All that stuff we do. It's all 5-year-old tantruming. There is no one to blame. There is no one to blame. Now, I'm not talking about physical oppression. Okay, if somebody locks you up in a dungeon, they are to blame. If somebody enslaves you and rapes you, they are to blame. I'm not talking about physical victimhood or physical victimization. I'm talking about mental enslavement. When it comes to the mental, there is no one to blame. Sorry, there's no one to blame. So our mental power always lies within us. Our mental prowess and empowerment is always in our hands. So when you blame another, or when you're angry with another, it sounds really powerful. F him, F that, I'm going to show him. It sounds powerful, but you're not powerful at all. The minute you blame someone else, you keep giving your power. Your power is tethered to the other. So real radical awakening is no self-blame and no other blame. Where you're truly understanding of the process of evolution, that we attracted each other because we were working through some stuff. So Dave asked, what if someone tries to mentally abuse you on purpose? So the real question you should ask is, what if I allow someone to mentally abuse me on purpose? That's even more tragic, that we know someone is abusing us on purpose and we're still allowing it. So the question is not what if the other abuses us. The real question is, how am I allowing it? Why am I allowing it? Right? So true self-accountability is true ownership of our participation, our co-creation in this dynamic. So we are talking about my book, A Radical Awakening. We are at book club number 18. Who here has been reading this book? You've been reading it, you're reading it again. Leave a review. Would love to hear your thoughts. And tag me when you post, or hashtag A Radical Awakening. So in my book, I speak a lot to women owning their complete participation in any dynamic. Women owning their complete participation in any relationship. There is no blame. You don't blame yourself when you own your co-creation. When you own your co-creation, you just own your unconsciousness. I was unconscious. Right? You do it with humility, with humor, because you're not in a delusion of narcissistic arrogance that you should not have been unconscious. You're like, I was unconscious. How not to be unconscious? My entire 20s, 30s, fully unconscious, even though I thought I was very conscious. Even though I was conscious and teaching, I was so unconscious in so many areas. Because you cannot be conscious in every area till you're like older, okay? So don't expect yourself to be conscious. How to be conscious in your parenting before you've been a parent? How to be conscious in your marriage before you've been married? Cannot happen. How to be really conscious like a 50-year-old when you're not even 50? You have to go through the shit. You have to go through the mud. That's why in my book, I have the lotus as the icon, because the lotus grows out of the mud. Consciousness and growth can only come out of unconsciousness and stagnation. That is the non-dual wonder of our lives. Right? So that is where we need to evolve. So Reshma asked, can anyone find the love described in chapter 13? Yes, they can. Because the love described in chapter 13, which I will go through one day, is the love inside you. So you're really asking, can I be the love that you describe in chapter 13, which sounds amazing, here? How do you know when you're unconscious? Well, first and foremost, all of us are unconscious to a degree or the other. Now, how do we know it? Is when we are disempowered, when we're feeling frustrated constantly, when we're in a dysfunctional relationship a lot, when we are eating too much, numbing too much, procrastinating too much, anxious too much, we are not yet woken up, right? When you are awake, you are happy and excited and energetic and free. And even when people mess with your equanimity, you're like, oh, but I'm not that unhappy, right? Consciousness, evolution by nature means the letting go of the bullshit. So when you let go of the bullshit, you're like, so you get it. You're happy. Even if you're being screwed. You know what I mean? Even if somebody is taking advantage of you, you can see it. You don't get upset that the person is taking advantage of you. You go, what do I expect? People are unconscious. You understand that each person is on the continuum of consciousness that they are on. You can't tell them just because I'm nice, you be nice. It doesn't work like that. Each person acts according to their own level of consciousness. So if somebody's screwing with you and you are more evolved, you're like, okay, you would have liked it, not that this person doesn't mess with you, but the person did and you understand because everyone is at their own level of consciousness. And some people are at a really low level of consciousness and sometimes you don't even know it. right? But don't feel all betrayed and victimized. Oh my God, how did this happen to me? Just go, this is the nature of unconsciousness. Unconsciousness is freaking brutal, okay? People are like, a lot of psychos out there, okay? And maybe we are one ourselves. A lot of crazy cuckoo birds out there. And so when you meet a cuckoo bird and the cuckoo bird has messed with you, you don't get upset with the cuckoo bird. I mean, of course, for the first 10 days you can, and even you can curse them. But then you have to realize that the cuckoo bird is cuckoo. So you saying, why is the cuckoo bird cuckoo, is you being cuckoo, right? You're not accepting that people are cuckoo. What to do, right? Everyone is at their own level of consciousness. So the quickest way to get away from the cuckoo bird is cut your losses. Go. But if you keep being angry, 6 years ago, a cuckoo bird came and took my fancy jewelry away, and you're still living in that enslavement to the cuckoo bird, then you are the one who needs a wake-up call, right? But here's the thing. When you are very attached to your fancy jewelry, it will hurt. But when you're evolved, you've already let go of your fancy jewelry. You already know that you don't need your fancy jewelry. You don't even have much fancy jewelry. And you don't care about fancy jewelry, and fancy jewelry doesn't mean anything to you. So when the cuckoo bird takes your fancy jewelry, you're already 10 steps ahead of the game. You see? You're like, oh, the cuckoo bird thought I'll be all upset. I'm a little upset, but I'm not all that upset because I've already detangled from the hold of form and possessions in my life. So you have to do the work. If you don't do the work, and you're attached to your beauty, and you're attached to your youth, and you're attached to people's validation, and you're attached to your jewelry, you're going to lose. You're going to lose your youth, you're going to lose your beauty, you're going to lose your jewelry, you're going to lose. These are things that get lost. So when they get lost, you get upset. But if you've already worked on yourself, that you're detached from these things, then when you lose them, you don't mind because you lost them a long time ago. You didn't care a long time ago. You see? That's why it's so important to do this inner work, to do this healing. So my book, A Radical Awakening, book club number 18, we're 18 sessions in, guys. And if you haven't bought the book till now, then I don't think you're going to buy the book. At the end of A Radical Awakening, towards the end, the entire 5th part is, for me, the most beautiful part of the book. It may not be for you, but for me, because it's the spiritual part of the book, is gorgeous spirituality. It's called Awakening from the Matrix. And it's a big part of the book. It's only part 5. And it's gorgeous to me. The first chapter is called Embracing Fearless Boundaries. Then I have Embracing Sovereignty. And then I have Embracing Purpose. Then I have Embracing Reparenting. And I have Embracing Sovereignty. And I have lots of parts where you can now grow. So this book is not just about why you're asleep or how you're asleep. It is the path out of slumber. But I'm warning you, because I'm not mainstream and I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to wake you up. It will feel like a rude wake-up call. But if you're ready for a wake-up call, then I deliver. So it lays out an entire pathway how to move from fear to power. It goes through the culture, how you've been asleep, the lies of your culture. Then it teaches you about to recognize the faces of your ego from childhood. Then it teaches you to own your sexuality. Then it teaches you to look at how culture has boxed you into really stringent standards, and then how you can awaken. So it's a deep book. I share my personal journey. I share my deepest parts of myself with you in this book and my clients to help you awaken. A Radical Awakening, book club number 18, talking about self-accountability, how self-accountability has nothing to do with guilt or shame. It includes and involves a brutal honesty about your level of consciousness. So if you're looking in the back and you have guilt, you don't say, why didn't I, why, how could I, why should, I should have done differently. You say, I was at that level of consciousness. Nothing to blame. Nothing to feel ashamed about. Similarly, with the people in your life, you don't blame and yell at them and hold them responsible because you're giving them power when you do that. You simply say, they were at that level of consciousness. They were bloody fools. What to do? And you just accept that each one of us attracts the level of consciousness that we need to grow. Now, whether we do grow or not is up to us, but we are attracting the level of consciousness exactly to the level that we need to grow. Right? So a woman came to me and she said, my husband talks really badly to me. And I said, no, reframe that. I allow my husband to talk really badly to me. She was like, what? I said, your husband doesn't talk badly to you at all. You allow your husband to talk badly to you. So repeat. I allow my husband to talk badly to me. She was like, no, he talks badly. I don't want it. I said, of course you don't want it. We all want $1 million. But we do things to not allow what we want. So you say, I am doing things that allow my husband to do things to me that I don't like. She was like, no. She was so resistant. And she was like, okay, I allow. I go, oh, you allow? How come you allow? Why do you allow? I allow because I don't want my husband to leave me. I allow because I want to keep peace in the house. I allow because I'm scared. I allow because I don't want to be rejected. I allow because I allow. Oh, so you allow a lot. And you have very good reasons to allow. So let's understand your husband isn't doing anything. You are allowing for lots of good reasons in your head. So if you have so many good reasons, why would he stop doing what he's doing when you need him to do what he's doing? You need it. You need it. If you didn't need it, you would stop it. But to stop it would mean that all those reasons would have to go away. So that is the radical part. When you get this in your life will radically change. Trust me. When you begin to take brutal self-accountability. Okay, guys. See you for the next book club when I see you. Bye.